Hey, welcome back, survivors, and thank you for visiting the channel. We appreciate it. Hey, we got a really intense show tonight. This is going to be unbelievable. We're going to be talking about the George Floyd case. Obviously, it is huge in our country, and we're going to go into what has happened recently. I'm going to have some pictures for you and this and that. So stay tuned. You won't want to miss this. Hey, John, let's go into our beer moment. What you got for us, buddy?
Well, our beer moment today is brought to you by Kenny's Grocery, located at 1792 in French Avenue in Orange City.
Absolutely.
Okay, and the beer we're going to try tonight is Bungalow, made by the Ivanhoe Park Brewing Company. It's a Belgian-style Witbier ale.
That sounds really good.
With coriander and orange peel.
Okay.
Yeah.
I usually like a wit beer, and I'm
Witbier.
I'm sorry. I'm Anglo, so I'm gonna say wit beer.
Dude, I'm sorry. I cannot get past the smell. But I actually like the taste of it. Got a little orange peel, a little coriander. I know you're not a coriander fan.
I am not a coriander fan, and
But the coriander is very light, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's very
the
light.
smell is off-putting. I'm gonna say that.
Yeah.
It has a great flavor though.
I can't. I gotta say it, dude. It smells like ass. I'm sorry.
You know, Aas is actually a beer in Norway. Those of you who go to Epcot know that it's called Aas.
So it's ass beer.
Well,
It better be.
what happened was in Epcot, in the Norway pavilion, they actually said they changed it from, or advertising it as Aas, because everyone said, "I'll have an ass," because it's AASE.
Right.
Now they just say it's seasonal beer.
Nah, there you go.
Oh, what happens to be your seasonal beer? It's Aas.
It's
I'll have an ass.
So with that, I'm going to give this, minus the off-putting smell, I'm going to give it a 7. Because I like the taste of it.
Well,
You know what? As I'm drinking it, I'm sorry, John. You know what it actually smells like to me? It smells like sausage or salami. It smells like meat.
meat.
Smell it.
I have smelled it.
To me, it smells like
And realistically,
salami.
I honestly don't smell anything coming from it. I mean, nothing offensive or anything. I honestly don't smell anything. I'm sorry.
There's a very.
But have you seen the size of that nose?
This is a regal nostril. I'm just saying.
It's called a sundial.
That's a Regal Theater nostril.
But I can smell that.
All
All right, what's your rating?
I'm not a huge fan of the flavor, though.
Okay.
I'm just going to give it a 5.
Okay. LT.
All right. Smell, -5. Taste, I'm going to give it a 7.5.
So,
I actually
2.5.
like the test. So if you don't smell it, if you can get past it, and in a can, you wouldn't smell
I was just going to
No,
say, if
absolutely.
you kept it in the can,
You would not smell it
Right.
at all. So I would give it
I do start
overall.
noticing that salami smell, though.
Right?
Yeah, I'm kind of getting an aftertaste of salami now. What the?
He knows what the salami tastes like. I'm just saying.
You do. He said it first, and you agreed with him.
All right. So that's our beer moment. Thank you very much. And I think we have a brand new sponsor that we're very proud of. LT.
We absolutely do, and it is Kristen and Tom Clem of Exit Advantage Realty Advantage, sorry. And Kristen and Tom are realtors. Tom, and they're on your screen right there, phone number's right there. I will have all of their information listed down below in the description. If you're in the market to sell or buy a house, they also do cash purchases. Here in the Central Florida area, you don't want to go anywhere but these guys. I'm telling you, they are absolutely fantastic. But just word of note, Tom is a Marine veteran. He is also a current law enforcement officer, and he does this as his secondary income and job. Kristen, former school teacher, and is now a full-time realtor.
So we should support our public servants.
Oh my God, absolutely. And these guys are absolutely fantastic. I talk to Tom all the time. I met Kristen the other day. She is absolutely just a wonderful person. So if you guys have a need to do anything like that, please reach out to these folks because they will take care of you for sure.
So this is a part-time job for Tom because he's a full-time police officer.
Well,
as
you
opposed
know how that goes.
Well, as opposed to a firefighter where this would be their full-time job.
Yeah, and the firefighting would be just for benefits.
Right.
Exactly.
We also have a third sponsor, CNR Constructors, which, LT, you're going to talk to us about them?
We do. They are a general contractor out of the state of Florida. They do everything in Central Florida from home remodels, commercial build-outs. And good thing is right now they are in the works of trying to get everything together to build their first spec house.
Wow.
So that we can start becoming an actual new home builder. And in this market today, it is desperately needed because there are not enough homes out there to go around, which is why the prices are crazy.
They're actually doing work at my house.
Thank you for our sponsors. We appreciate you guys. If you are interested in sponsoring or anything you want to help us out with or reach out to us in any way, please send us an email, retiredcopsrule@gmail.com. You can also send us a message in the YouTube channel comments. We actually on the YouTubes we actually spend a lot of time answering those comments. We don't just let them on there. We take your comments very seriously, and we want to hear from you guys. Tell us what you think about the new bar that LT set up.
Yeah, so what we did was I moved everything around so that we could actually face the audience more and have better lighting. John's not sitting in the back in the dark anymore, which we kind of like to keep him in the dark.
Like a mushroom?
Yeah, like a mushroom.
That's because I'm a fun guy.
Oh, God. Anyway, so I changed it around. Let us know what you think. If it's a little more visual, we probably have to go back a couple episodes, to see what it looked like before. But subscribe and like down below. We really appreciate it.
Speaking of subscribing, we really appreciate you guys subscribing to our channel. We're trying to get monetized, so the more subscribers, the better. And if you like our show, if you don't like our show, send us an email or a comment. But subscribe so that you can help a couple of awesome retired cops and then me also out. We would love for you to like and subscribe.
Yeah, we had one comment from a subscriber on YouTube or on the
YouTubes.
And gave a suggestion for the show, and we did it last time.
Okay. We did.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So, we'll pay attention to it.
We definitely pay attention to it.
Are we still on the Facebook, too?
We are on the Facebooks. We are on Instagram. We are on Twitter. We are on TikTok.
And guys, you can listen to this podcast on Rumble, Apple, Spotify, anywhere that you get your podcast from. You can go there and search Surviving the Badge. We'll be there. Just tune in and you can listen on your way to work or wherever.
We're everywhere.
And if you really like it enough, we may even come to a live show.
I'm totally looking forward to us doing a live show.
And here's the deal, guys. In order for us to do live shows and for us to do mobile shows and this and that, which we really want to do, we have to get to 1,000 subscribers in order to do that. That's YouTube's rules, not ours. And we are at about 270 right now. So we need to get that up there. So if you could share this with your friends, we really would appreciate it very much. All they got to do is just register for a YouTube account with their email and then just subscribe to our channel. It's very easy.
Because our key demographic apparently is what?
Ladies.
Middle-aged
ladies.
So you're going to remember this. Just think back in the 70s, there was a commercial for Breck shampoo. And it said, I told two friends, and they told two friends.
I remember that.
And they told two friends.
Absolutely.
And it grew exponentially. So do me a favor. Like and subscribe to our channel and tell two friends to like and subscribe.
That's great.
Absolutely.
All right, so with that, we're going to talk about our officer fallen moment. So as of today, we have 65 police officers nationwide who have fallen in the line of duty, and total of 65 is down 41% from last year, which is always a good thing. And I looked at the COVID because in the last episodes I was talking about hopefully the COVID will be less, and it is down actually 50% from last year. So the COVID deaths of officers are declining as well. We're going to start researching how many officers have been shot in the line of duty. Because that is exponentially higher. I mean, almost an officer every single day,
right.
if not
Chicago
more.
officers were shot yesterday.
Yeah. So it's a dangerous world out there, and we appreciate you guys sticking with it. We've retired. You guys are still in the shit, and we appreciate it. And we want to raise a glass to all of our fallen officers. And
yes, we do.
Say rest in peace. And to the families, we love you guys, and
prayers.
Yep, absolutely. With that said, it's trivia time. So if you want a classic sticker, surviving the badge, surviving the badge sticker, be the very first one in the YouTube comments to answer this question.
The YouTubes.
In the YouTubes. So March. This is March. John Wayne Gacy was born in March 17th, actually, and he murdered 33 boys, buried them in his crawl space. Pretty effed up that we know of. Could have been more. He dumped some in the Des Plaines River, but he killed quite a few. Sometimes he dressed up as a clown. What was the name of the clown that he dressed up as? So, first one to answer that. What was the name of John Wayne Gacy's clown? We'll get a classic surviving the badge sticker until we run out. And LT might...
It looks just like this right here, only much smaller, obviously. And
it
they
sticks.
are... And what?
And
it sticks.
Yes, and they are absolutely fantastic on the car. They're about yay big, and of course I have them all over my cars. So, yeah.
And LT may even deliver it, depending on who wins.
Yeah, if it's somebody nearby, I'll hand deliver it, obviously, and it has to be like real nearby. If not, we'll get your mailing address. We'll contact you through messages on the comments, on YouTube, and then maybe on Facebook Messenger or email or whatever, and we will get those to you. But you have to comment on the YouTube show. You have to make comments down below, and it's the first person.
Yep.
All right, let's move on.
So if you're listening on Spotify,
Go
to
to
our
YouTube.
YouTube's channel and comment, because if you know it, you're entitled to it. We want you to
win.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not stingy. I think LT sent out 3 to one awesome listener.
We've already given out like 6 or 7 stickers already for contest winners. Absolutely.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna talk about the George Floyd case, but kind of peripherally. I think that's a proper word. We all know the George Floyd case, and we know that Derek Chauvin was convicted and is in prison. We all agree that he should be. This was a horrible incident that happened, and this officer should totally be in jail for this. And we're not gonna address that. We agree with the decision. What we're gonna talk about is there were 3 other officers on the scene when this was all going down. On February 24th, 3 former, because they were fired after this,
And they're going to be on your screen right now.
the Metropolitan Police officers were found guilty of violating George Floyd's civil rights. Kung, Lane, and Tao are all charged with aiding and abetting second-degree murder and aiding and abetting second-degree manslaughter after this happened, where Chauvin was arresting George Floyd for he had presented a counterfeit bill.
Correct.
They showed up at the scene and they arrested him. I don't know if he got combative, but he was not
compliant.
Not compliant, and so they took him to the ground. And
for those of you that live under a rock and don't know what George Floyd looks like, he's on your screen now.
So Officer Derek Chauvin, former officer, now inmate, inmate Derek Chauvin, he, for whatever reason, decided that he wanted to hold him on the ground with his knee on his neck, and through video evidence showed that he had his knee on his neck for about 8 minutes. And then George Floyd, unfortunately died Well, he was put in the ambulance, and he pretty much
I believe he was pronounced dead in the ambulance, but I believe he actually did pass away while on the street.
Right, and it's really difficult to watch. I think any police officer who really worked the job and wanted to help people, because I guarantee every police officer out there, when they did their very first interview, when they were asked, why do you want to be a cop? I want to help people. And for those officers who watch this video, LT said it earlier, it's sickening.
It is.
It really is sickening to watch this officer just lay there with his knee on this guy's neck while he's begging for his life.
And you know what really pisses me off, and I know you're going to go into it, you've already mentioned them, is at least two of the cops standing there heard him gasping for air, heard him saying he can't breathe, heard all of that, and didn't do a damn thing to stop it. That's...
Yeah.
Man.
So the following days after George Floyd's death, the police department fired all 4 officers involved in the episode on May 29th, because this incident happened May 25th. So 4 days after the incident, the county prosecutor charged Chauvin with second-degree murder charges. They through the evidence, they believe that he had his knee on his neck for about 8 minutes and 15 seconds. So I went to the police academy in 1988, and all the way back to 1988, no-go zones, unless it was a deadly force situation, was the head and the neck and the groin. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, you went to the academy.
I was an instructor for a PR-24, and those were the things that, unless
Deadly force or...
It allowed for deadly force, you did not hit anywhere basically from the neck up or the groin.
Yeah. It was large
spine.
muscle areas.
or spine.
Yeah, right. Yeah, spine. So I don't know where this came from. This was totally not in department policy.
Were you ever taught in the academy? I mean, I went through in 1984. Okay, yeah, I know I'm old.
1884.
Were you ever taught to put your knee on someone's neck to subdue them and hold them on the ground?
No.
Where were you taught to put
John,
your knee?
can I show? So when we were cuffing somebody who was on the ground or trying to control somebody, we would put our knee.
I'm going to stand up so they can see the back of my shirt too.
There you go. So we were taught to put our knee.
There's the logo, the new logo.
Like right in here in the shoulder blade area.
Absolutely.
You know, and sometimes, people are combative, and you have to use force.
And why is that? Because you have the spine right here.
Right.
They don't want you on the spine. They don't want you on the neck.
Nope.
They want you on the shoulder blade, which is a muscular, more fattier portion of the body.
Right in this area.
And you can still control them.
Yes. There's no vital organs in that area.
Hey, let's give it up for our
dummy
tackling dummy here.
Now another key point for this whole thing, though, he was cuffed.
Yes.
You're right. I'm glad you mentioned that.
He was cuffed with his hands behind his back.
Right.
And it's not to say that people that are handcuffed can't kick, fight, and still resist and bite and everything else. So you still want to keep control of them. But that takes a lot of the fight out of
90% of it. Because honestly, LT, if you had somebody who was being combative on the ground, just step away. Where's he going?
Right. He can spin around all he wants.
He's handcuffed. He can, if they can get up from that position, one of the reasons we tell people, doing felony stops, drop to your knees, cross your legs. Okay? Part of the reason is by the time they uncross their legs, you're already on top of them, push them back down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and here's what I don't understand. They could have very easily, after they handcuffed him, I get pulling him out of the car, getting him under control. I get it. No problem with that whatsoever. But then turn him around, have him sit on his ass, and put your knee up against his shoulder blade so that he has some support, so that he has somewhere to lean up against, because it's hard to keep your balance with your handcuffs, and just sit there and wait till somebody gets there where you can lift him up, 4 or 5 of you, and set him in the police car. You know what? And then if he starts fighting, there's ways to secure his feet and hook them to the handcuffs, and he can still be in a sitting position.
So
I mean,
when I was on patrol, and this was a long time ago, we used to hog tie people.
yeah, and lay him on their belly in the back seat.
And then all of a sudden there was the positional asphyxiation. Right, and we're like, whoa, we can't do that anymore
Because they were fighting, their elevated heart rate, their elevated breathing, their lack of oxygen due to the fight and everything else. You put them on their stomach, okay? They can't breathe. That they lay there with all their weight on their chest and their stomach. And that's what he's talking about, positional asphyxiation. So what we were taught... Go ahead.
Yep. So we were there's been since then there's been other situations, like I know some agencies they use a strap on the legs, and then that strap kind of hooks under the door so that they can't reach up and kick the windows and stuff like that.
We had, when we first started using them, it was called a toker restraint, and that worked fairly good. And it had little knots in the nylon.
Like balls
and
sewn in.
Right, and when you put them outside of the door, they couldn't just pull it through the door trying to kick. It would grab on the door, and it only stuck out maybe this far, so it wouldn't grab the ground or anything going down the road. And then they went to a rip hobble restraint, which is basically just a nylon strap with a clasp in it, and you wrap it around their legs, you cinch it tight, and then you pull it out the door. And what you do is, as you're closing the door, you just pull it, and they're basically, their feet are slammed up against the door like this, and then you take the extra strap, because it's about yay long, you pull it around to the front door, you put it inside the front door, you shut the front door the way there's no strap hanging out to get caught on railroad tracks or whatever, and it's completely safe.
Yeah. They can still
can't
breathe.
They can't breathe. I mean, they breathe, they can't move their legs.
Yep.
I
They're not kicking the door in.
There's so many ways, and you know what? If these guys didn't have that, and I don't know if they did or not.
I don't know.
I didn't see if it ever came out in trial. If they didn't have something like that, and were not trained on something like that, well, then shame on their department for not seeing ahead of where this could
But
happen.
didn't they? I mean, like I remember when I first started, which was like many years after he started.
Right.
But the sergeants all had leg cuffs.
Yes, leg shackles.
Leg shackles. So that was our department, but I'm sure the city of Chicago had Minneapolis. Minneapolis.
You'd think.
Someone would have some way.
So as we move on, June 3rd, prosecutors charged each of the 3 officers that were around Chauvin with aiding and abetting second-degree murder.
Yes.
Later, these 3 officers were also charged by the federal government, the Department of Justice, for violation of George Floyd's civil rights. February 24th, the 3 officers were found guilty of depriving Floyd of his civil rights by showing deliberate indifference to his medical needs. They found 2 of the officers guilty of additional charges for failing to intervene in stopping Chauvin. The 3rd officer did not face this extra charge because he actually, apparently, I didn't know this part.
Yeah.
He had talked to Chauvin and says, "Hey, maybe you should reposition. Maybe you should move."
Yeah.
And Chauvin says, essentially said, "Yeah, that's not going to happen," or whatever. Denied doing that both times.
He never moved for 8
No,
minutes.
he just
never freaking moved.
How do you? I don't know
With a
how.
death scowl on his face.
He's like, "I'm just going to sit here." I don't get it. It's
And
it's repulsive.
I am going to tell you. I'm going to make an admission here. Well, first I want to say, as far as this case is concerned, this is one of the few cases involving law enforcement and response to resistance type issues where something truly tragic happened, and you had, as far as I can estimate, like 90% of law enforcement agree this was wrong.
Yes.
I agree.
I mean,
Yes.
you had law enforcement saying, yes, this was wrong.
Right.
And this is a show that our motto is, we still got your six. We stand behind law enforcement 100% when they are correct, when they are doing their job. And even if it looks like they may have done something wrong, because you only get
Give
a
them the benefit of the
30-second
doubt.
clip, we give them always the benefit of the doubt until proven guilty by a jury of their peers. Of course, they never can have a jury of their peers because their peers would be law enforcement officers, and that never happens. But anyway, we talked about that on the last show.
Right.
But we always stand behind our law enforcement professionals, our firefighter professionals, military, everything else. So don't get it wrong that we're shitting all over cops here. We're not. We're shitting all over these cops because they screwed up. They did the wrong thing. They did the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Well, we know, and we're going to talk about the other officers. We know that the one cop, I'm glad he's in prison. Get him out of here.
Well,
So
I just want to get to my point about
sure.
why, my thought process changed, and you have to understand that in law enforcement you've got certain defensive techniques and things like that, and you have control techniques, and at the beginning, his technique, I don't think his intention was to put it on his neck. I think his intention was to put it on his shoulder blade. Okay, but it wasn't. But in watching the trial, the prosecution, it was actually one of Chauvin's expert witnesses, which convinced me Chauvin was absolutely guilty without a doubt, because when you're using force, response to resistance, in controlling a suspect, you have to constantly, every moment, reevaluate.
Yes.
Do I still need to use this amount of force?
Yes.
And
You can't lose yourself in the situation.
right.
Yep.
So it's not like, okay, I can put you in a hammer lock, which is your arm behind your back and lift that, but I can keep wrenching on that when you give me the other arm. Okay, once you give me the other arm, I have to do it. Okay, but if I put you on a hammer lock and I push it all the way up and all of a sudden snap your shoulder,
And haven't even given you a chance to give me the other arm yet.
Yeah.
well, I've got to abandon that technique.
Yes.
And address.
You have to be willing. I like it. You have to be willing to abandon something that is either detrimental or not working.
right.
Yes.
But the point is, you have to constantly reevaluate.
Yes,
Do
absolutely.
I need to continue doing this?
Right.
Okay. You're
That
doing
force which is necessary to effectively control the individual and effect the arrest. That's
Yes.
all. That's
Yep.
all it says.
Yep.
But, constantly evaluate, do I need to continue doing this? And that's where Chauvin totally screwed up. And I was like sold. I'm like, guilty, absolutely, because after like 4 minutes, you started to see he actually was going downhill. And it's like,
And he
do
never
I need to
reassessed.
continue do-
He
right,
never
do I need to
reassessed.
continue doing
Yeah.
this?
So these officers, they were found guilty in federal court for violation of civil rights. Now they have a state court. I'm not sure when that's going to happen. A state trial, and that's going to be aiding and abetting second-degree murder. So that's going to be interesting to watch. Now, my question is: you have these three officers. Why or when should they have stepped in and done something about this?
My opinion is when they saw him on his neck and realized he was on his neck, and the individual, George Floyd, was in duress. And, I've had people say, oh, I can't breathe, and they're sitting upright and they're perfect, and I call rescue. I'm like, what do you mean you can't breathe? I just can't breathe. I'm having a panic attack. Call rescue, have them come down. And that's what should have happened. Yeah. They should have seen what was happening, seen that he was, or saw that he was in duress, and said, Chauvin, you need to get off his neck, man. This guy is in duress. No, bullshit. Physically remove him if you need to, call rescue, and take over the situation. Say, Sarge, or what is Sergeant?
No, that's another incident we're going to talk about in a minute.
And say, you know what, man? You need to back off. Go over here, control the crowd, whatever you
De-escalate.
need to do, we got it.
Yep.
You got it. And if they have to physically remove him from his neck, then you have to physically
Now
remove
there
him.
were quite a few people in the area taking video and everything, and I think probably their defense is going to be there was a crowd gathering, and I don't know if it's going to be a good enough defense to say, well, I was focusing on the crowd gathering and I couldn't.
But you know what?
prevent
That's
him.
bullshit. And here's why it's bullshit.
I get it.
Because Tao was standing there, and they actually said at one point that he was picking freaking pebbles out of the car tires on the police car.
Yeah, see, that's-
and standing there in complete relaxed mode, just
I
standing
think,
there.
and this is, I believe Tao was actually in training.
Okay, so
And-
he's a trainee.
And his training officer was Chauvin.
But he
Oh,
damn
God.
sure didn't look like he was trying to control
Yeah,
any
but
crowd.
you're brand new on the job.
and he's standing there all
But-
chilled, like looking around.
It's your training officer who's doing. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying
There's
I
nuance.
understand.
There's nuance here,
Right.
That we have to take into a consideration.
I'm not saying Tao should have turned around and told his training officer, "Hey, get off his neck."
right,
Yeah, he should have. But what I'm saying,
but he's a
is,
newbie. He's not going to do that.
Absolutely.
100%
But those other
not
two
gonna do
cops
that.
that were
But-
right there next
but-
to him.
And
Come on, man.
now let me ask you a question.
Come on.
Do you
man.
think? Do you think had they not gone as far as you just said, which is to physically
Right.
remove Chauvin, but you said the one officer was not charged because he asked Chauvin twice to reposition
Yeah.
Floyd. But if the rest of them had said, "Hey man, let him up, sit him up, reposition him," all of them had said that. Come on, and Chauvin kept saying, "No, I got it, we're good. We'll wait for rescue." Would they be facing these charges?
So I think so. I think yes, they would be facing these charges.
Convicted? No.
It's going to be difficult to because this was such a hot topic. I mean, cities burned because of this. They had to be charged. Winning a conviction is going to be really difficult, especially in this situation.
Let me interview.
Yeah,
How many years? Over
20.
20.
Yeah, over 20.
Over 20?
22.
22, right?
Yep.
35. Okay?
Yeah.
So collectively, 70,
century.
70, yeah, a damn near a century. All right? So I know that when I was in law enforcement, there's guys, it's called, what is it called? Chase hate or whatever.
Okay.
You get into a freaking pursuit, you're freaking amped up to here.
Yeah.
You tackle the guy, there's a little bit of chase hate. It just happens. We're human. It
Yes,
happens.
absolutely.
But
like John said, you are the one who's
Absolutely.
responsible for
Your
de-escalating
actions and
and
Reassessment.
and reassessment.
And I just don't get where, okay, the rookie, okay, whatever, he's a rookie. The other two guys, man, why didn't they step up and say, and do something? Okay, saying it's one
Even
thing.
if they said, Sarge, you need to get here. Sarge, we need you out here.
Yeah.
I would have taken the guy and said, look, man, this guy is not doing well. You need to move your knee back to the shoulder blade or whatever. Let's roll him over. And if he refused to, said, you know what? I believe you're doing something wrong here. Get out of the way. And maybe it's just me.
And the thing is, it was not a violent crime. It's a counterfeit bail case.
Would you have, if you saw what you saw in that video we watched,
Yeah.
and I ask everyone, if you have never seen the video where they did a timeline and everything else, I'll try to get it from you and put it in the description below. So a link so that you can link to that video. I can't stand behind these guys for
Not at all.
not grabbing this
Not
guy
at
and
all.
going, "You're effing up, dude. Get off this
Yeah.
guy's freaking neck, man."
Yeah. No. You were talking about pursuit hate or pursuit anger
Chase
or whatever.
hate,
Chase
yeah,
hate.
anger,
So
yeah.
LT and I were in a vehicle pursuit of a stolen vehicle one time, and we're going down the interstate and
Crashed three
wrecked.
cars.
Yep, wrecked. And we jumped over. He finally stopped, and I tackled him. And this is how the mind works. I'm actually lying on top of the guy on the ground, and I'm screaming at him, "Get on the ground! Get on the ground!" And then I realize, shit, This guy's on the ground. I'm on top of him.
And then after I fell in a hole and finally caught up, I said, Camille, move so we can handcuff the guy. I mean, it was like
so I'm like, get over, turn over.
Yeah, and then we handcuffed the guy.
So I get, but this was not that. This was a guy who passed a counterfeit 20 bill and was a little bit combative.
And he went to the ground. They had him on the ground.
Yeah,
guys,
where's he gonna go?
He's first thing you're taught in law enforcement, or at least I used to teach it, was if someone is a little bit combative, resistant, whatever, take them to the ground. Yeah. Controlled, take them to the ground where you can control them. But he was under control. Absolutely.
So if every time he sits up, knock him back down.
Yeah. Set him down.
I mean, it's not that difficult.
Yeah. Or sit him up, prop him up, like I said.
And say, listen, you need to calm the hell down.
Dude, you got 3 cops there. If he tries to get up, all you have to do is push his shoulders down, and his ass is on the ground.
All right, so LT, we're going to move on a little bit. I have a LT question for you. So,
oh God.
So, I think this is very relevant to our discussion. November 19th, officers were called at Sunrise, Florida Police Department, called to a convenience store. An individual had beat up some people, and the cops got there. They arrested him. He's being combative. You know, we've all arrested that a-hole who's fighting and spitting and cussing.
Not me. Everyone I arrested was a nice person.
Well, they all said I was a nice guy.
Yeah. Oh, not.
Stay tuned for the after show.
Yeah. I just smacked him behind the bar.
So they finally got this guy in the car. He's being an a-hole. He's cuffed. He's behind his back. The sergeant on scene, I don't know, loses. Has it up to here. Is pissed off with this guy, and he takes out, you can see in the body cam video, he takes out his pepper spray and leans into the police car to spray this handcuffed suspect in the face.
Before you get too far, you think that might be a bad idea to spray pepper spray into a patrol car?
For the driver, for the patrol officer driving the car, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so just saying it's probably not a good idea.
So for you non-cops out there, the worst thing that a patrol, any cop can do is spray pepper spray around a bunch of other cops because everybody gets affected by it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway,
and now you've got to recirculate into the air conditioner, and oh my God.
So this sergeant, big dude, monster of a dude, reaches into the patrol car. You can see it on the body cam, and is about to spray. I don't know if he was threatening or whatever, about to pepper spray this handcuffed suspect who was already in the car. And at that very moment, one of the sergeant's own officers grabs him by the gun belt, and there's no audio that I've seen, but starts to pull the sergeant out of the car, essentially saving his career in today's day and age. And then all of a sudden, the sergeant jumps up.
Freedom.
Right.
His career's done, but his career.
So the sergeant, the officer lets go, and the sergeant turns around and grabs the officer, and you've all seen this. They say he was choked. I don't think he choked her, but he grabbed her by the throat, neck area. And says something and holds onto her for a couple of seconds, and then goes back to the car. And now the sergeant was suspended from supervisory duty, and actually now he's under criminal investigation because during the IA they came up with something. I don't know what it was, but now he's
battery on law enforcement.
But no, I think it was something else.
Another incident.
So LT.
Yeah.
You see this video of one of your sergeants grabbing an officer, and what do you do?
Oh, it's an instant IA.
Okay.
Internal Affairs Investigation.
Suspension? Instant suspension?
Absolutely. He is now physically harmed or almost physically harmed. He has laid his hands on another officer.
Unlawfully or unjustifiably.
Unlawfully, absolutely. He is immediately suspended with pay because he's not guilty. So he's absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
So if we have officers watching, when do our officers intervene? Because we all know we've seen some shit.
Yeah.
When do we, every single time? I mean, what's the proper procedure?
I think if someone's safety, health, or welfare is in jeopardy, especially their life is in jeopardy, you damn sure better intervene right freaking now, and then call whoever is his boss and say, you need to get down here right now because this is bad.
Now, what do you think was going on in that? Because you were what, a sergeant? What, 20 years?
For exactly 20 years.
So you were a sergeant 20 years. An officer grabs you by the gun belt and pulls you out because maybe you got into the red zone.
I would have turned around and said, what in the fuck are you doing? And then they said, Sarge, we don't need to be spraying the guy. He's handcuffed to the car. All right, whatever. And I would have de-escalated. That would have been enough to de-escalate me and go, man, what the hell was I doing? And I would have took them aside and said,
thank you.
man, thank you for doing what you did. You probably just saved my freaking career. I don't know where my head was, but thank you. That's me. Though.
So let me ask you this.
I'd have been pissed at first,
Right.
But then I would have went.
When your brain is actually
Absolutely.
thinking.
You and I have had that conversation a couple of times.
Yeah.
Not that
It
I
wasn't
saved,
me.
No, not that I saved his career, but we've gotten into discussions because he was my sergeant for a majority of my career, and he got all upset about certain things, and it's like God damn it, why didn't you do? And then once we were able to talk about it, it's like, this is why this happened. He's like, okay, I get it.
We're good.
Now, without mentioning any names, John, you were talking about you had a supervisor.
Well, I had a supervisor
who wanted you to do an illegal act.
Yeah, and I basically told him, well, you can leave my scene, and
Can you tell it without mentioning any names. What did this sergeant ask you to do?
he asked me to take the handcuffs off a suspect because the suspect was running his mouth to him and threatening the sergeant and all that, and then the suspect would then challenge the sergeant to a fight, and then he could tase him. And I'm like, no, we're good. We're not taking the handcuffs off anyone. You can go.
Right. Now, did you face any repercussions for that?
Specifically for that incident, no.
Okay. Because I guess I'm getting, where is it insubordination? Because the sergeant told you take his handcuffs off. That's an illegal order, right?
In that aspect, he recognized, and ironically, he said the next day in briefing, he's like, you probably saved my career. And I said, yes, I did. Because I'm not going to do something stupid like that and follow an illegal order.
Yeah, LT, tell us about
but
following
you
illegal orders.
But you didn't let it lie there. You went to
Yeah,
his supervisor.
yes,
and said, hey, we've got a freaking problem.
Right.
And I'm not working for this nut job anymore.
Right.
And good for you for doing that. I mean, there's a difference between, okay, my sergeant's a little high strung and my sergeant's a freaking nut job. And trust me, I work with this guy, he's a freaking nut job. So yeah.
LT, following illegal orders, tell us about that.
You don't have to follow an illegal order. Absolutely not, unequivocally, ever, never, ever do you have to follow an
and you're
illegal
covered.
order. And you are absolutely covered under every policy I've ever read by every agency and by freaking the law, basically civil law. You're covered.
But the biggest problem is you better be damn sure it's an illegal order.
Absolutely.
Not just
I think
a dumb order.
Not just a dumb order. I think
Right.
I don't like that order. I'm not going to do it. No,
Right.
it has to be legitimately.
And here's the
illegal
difference between the two. A real simple difference is I want you to go out there and I want you to run radar on XYZ street and I want you to stop every car that's 6 miles an hour over the speed limit and I want you to either issue a warning or a citation. Okay, that's a dumbass order, but it's not an illegal order. It's not an illegal order. An illegal order would be, I want you to go over there and punch that son of a bitch right in the face because he's calling me an asshole.
Or I
That's
want you to
an
take the
illegal
handcuffs off that person who's under arrest so that he can then challenge me to
There
a
you
fight, and then I can tase him.
There you go.
All right. So these 3 officers, they've already been convicted of violation of civil rights. Where do you think we're gonna land this plane? Where do you think they're going to land criminally? Criminally for their
I think
aiding and abetting second-degree murder.
I think 2 of them. Tao may skate only because he was a rookie and his experience, and he didn't know this, he didn't know that. He may skate on the full charges, but I think he's going to probably face some lesser charges. The other 2 cops that were there with Chauvin, I think they are probably going to take the full ride for the full charges they are being charged with. And Chauvin, of course, he's already been convicted. But I think the other 2, there was 2 more, right?
There's 3 total.
So Tao, Chauvin, and one other one?
There's
Bang.
Yeah.
there's Lang, Kung, and Tao. The Chauvin's already gone.
Okay. So Kung and Lang, I think they're done.
Okay.
I think pretty much they're especially the one that was right next to
And
Chauvin.
assuming, I'm saying Tao was the trainee, I'm not sure.
I think he was.
Okay,
Yeah.
whoever the trainee was,
Right.
you think that they may, because of lack of,
Yeah,
you're like, what?
he'll never be a cop again, ever.
No.
Right,
He'll never be a cop again. But I think they may forego because he was in training, he didn't know what was going on, But the other 2, especially the one, whoever it was, right next to Chauvin, and I don't know if that's the one that said, hey, we may reposition, or whatever. But if it's not him, he's going to face the full brunt of it.
So Lane was the guy who said, hey, dude, reposition.
And we don't know his position in the stack of those 3.
Right.
But anyway, I think that they are probably going to face or be convicted of whatever they were charged with. I think the trainee, though, is going to probably walk or get a very minimal charge, but he'll never be a cop. None of them obviously will ever be cops.
John?
I got a problem with this charge.
I do too.
I mean, I get it. They certainly should have intervened. I think there were different ways they could have intervened, short of physically pulling him off.
I didn't see the charges. I was just going by whatever.
If you have not
Aiding and abetting second-degree murder.
If you have not been on the road, you can't understand what's going on here. Okay? And you got to keep in mind that there has to be actual intent to commit crimes.
Right.
I don't think they intended to aid and abet the commission of second-degree murder. Do I think...
I would agree.
Because second-degree murder, you intend somebody to be dead.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I wasn't thinking of the charges. Yeah, my bad.
Should they have done more? I certainly believe so. I think you could say they may have aided and abetted a manslaughter, possibly, but I think had they told Chauvin, hey dude, you gotta reposition him. Had they called the sergeant and said, Sarge, you need to get down here now? Because being a paramilitary organization, there is saying no to a senior or superior officer is a huge risk. And you better know what you're doing if you say that. And or accuse someone of doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
So I don't think that charge, I don't think they're able to prove that charge. Because I don't think they had the intent to aid and abet a second-degree murder.
And I agree. Prosecution has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that they chose to help him kill this guy.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Right.
And now that you're talking about the actual charge,
Yeah.
and I apologize, guys. I didn't read into
LT's
the actual
super
charge.
busy with all of the
I am.
tech
He's our
stuff.
research department.
Sorry about that. but
No, I now if they start including lesser offenses, maybe, but I think it's going to be difficult to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that these guys aided and abetted this. The second-degree murder, at least in Florida, is that you actually intend to kill somebody.
Right.
yeah,
So, did they do something wrong?
Yes,
absolutely.
100%.
Did they aid and abet second-degree murder?
No.
Yes,
Hey guys,
yes.
as we land this plane, let us know what you think is going to happen in this case. Send us a comment in the YouTube section. The YouTube section of the comments. We would love to hear from all of you guys on what you think is going to happen in this case. And
Our podcast is available on Rumble, Apple, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcast. You can find us on there. Please like and subscribe below because that helps us out.
as always, at Surviving the Badge, we still got your six.
Absolutely. Oh, and you can get one of these cups. We have them available. If you email me, retiredcopsrule@gmail.com, I can hook you up with the person that makes these cups.
And
they
we also
are bad to the bone.
We also have a merchandise thing.
We do.
On the Facebook, Surviving the Badge.
The link is there, and it is through
T Public. Yep.
T Public.
Yep.
Yes,
Absolutely.
it's through there, and we have the shirt John has on.
You got to see it demonstrated earlier.
Yes.
We have these, cups,
Mugs,
not these
everything.
cups. Sorry, we have mugs, coffee mugs.
These are specially made by a friend of ours.
They are specially made. So
But-
yes.
All right, love you guys. Let us know what you think.